Sweetest butters. Coffee. Bit early yet. Now, ooh, I've got a pile of Oreos there. Can't have them with my coffee. Oh look, I've got a nice little Kit Kat. Can't have that with my coffee. Because we're going to use these. We're going to make some mini cheesecakes. They're going to be mini Kit Kat cheesecakes with a nice caramel cream swirl on top and a little bit of a Kit Kat. Alright, so this is another one of these where we're going to need a bit of a gap. Not that you'll notice when you watch this, because when we've sort of made most of the cheesecakey bit, that's going in the freezer for about 3 to 4 hours. Okay, so starting with the base. So I want to make 24 of these. I only make about 12, but I should probably end up having to take some of these into work. So I'm making 24. So I've got to be careful, I just had that all on. Just about to put that plastic thing on there, not a good idea. So what I've got here is 400 grams of Oreos. And I'm just going to chuck them into there. I do like that already. Okay. And then we're going to put into that 2 sticks of Kit Kat. Okay. Just going to chuck that in there to add a bit of Kit Kat flavour. Woo! Bit of foil. And then what we're going to do is we're now just going to then blitz that until it's basically, I suppose, like you might say, a biscuity crumb. So that's a nice crumb. Okay, and so now what I've got here is I've got some soft, well, melted really, butter. I've got 160 grams of unsalted butter, and we're just going to tip that into there. And now I'm just going to put the lid on, and we're now just going to mix that all together to get it blended in. And that will be our chocolate biscuity base. So this is all now mixed in together. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide it up amongst 24 cupcakes. Okay. And then when I've got all 24 filled, and preferably not the tray, what we're going to do then is we're just going to firm that down into each. Okay. So I'm just going to get this distributed. So that's got my 24 cases. I wouldn't say filled, but you know what I mean. And all I'm doing, I've got the bottom of this shot measure or whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to use that to press this down nice and evenly over the bottom. That one's a bit sticky, of each cupcake case. Okay, and then all we're going to do is this will then go into the fridge just to chill for a little bit while we make the cheesecake filling. Okay, start making the topping. So I've got 8 sticks of Kit Kat. By the way, might I just point out that when I was a kid, Kit Kats were bigger than that. So I'm going to use mini blender for this one because this little amount, this isn't all the topping, all right? This little amount will get lost in that big processor. So just 8 sticks of just chuck in there. Okay, and then what we've got here is about 125 mils of warmish milk. Okay, so I'm going to put that in there as well. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to then mix that together, and it's probably going to make a bloody mess. So that's a nice chocolatey mess. Okay, sort of milkshake with lumps in. And now in here, remember I'm making 24, so I've got a kilo, sounds bloody lot, doesn't it? Well, it's quite a lot, of cream cheese. Just a little tip for you. Every single one of them packs, and I've had this before with cream cheese, says 200 grams. Not one of them has 200 grams in. There's about 190 grams if you're lucky. Obviously the 200 grams includes the weight of the packs. Just be careful, if you want a kilo, make sure you bought an extra pack, because you won't have a kilo of cream cheese. And then what I've got here is some icing sugar. I've got there 125 grams. Is it 125 grams? It's 1 cup basically. I'm pretty sure that's 125 grams. And what we're going to do is we're now just going to whisk this together. Okay, so I'm just trying to minimise the spray. So that's got that mixed together, and what we're now going to do is we're just going to take that chocolatey mess and we're just going to add that in. So I'm just going to scrape that out, and then we're just going to gently whisk that through to mix it thoroughly in with the cream cheese. And we want to get it so that the sugar and cream cheese mix basically is mixed in. Now, if you were paying attention, you may notice the bowl's only got bigger, because I suddenly realised, having filled that up, I've still got to add my whipping cream, my double cream in yet, and that bowl wouldn't have worked. So here I've got 800 mils of whipping cream, or double cream, okay, same thing. And what we're now going to do is we're now just going to whisk that in, and this is when ideally we want to start getting some sort of peaks. So that's going to take a good few minutes, so I'll catch you then. Actually, I suddenly realised when I was trying to mix all that together, it was ever so runny. I thought, oh, hang on, I double checked the quantities, and when I said to you earlier I put a cup of powdered sugar in it, I should have said 2 cups. I'd forgotten to double. I've doubled all the ingredients and I've forgotten to double that. So I've now done that. I've added that in, whipped it in, and what we're going to do now is I'm just going to evenly distribute this over each of the cupcakes, and we'll just keep adding it in until basically we've used it all up. Gee, I'm going to get a little spoon down out the end of that one. So it's just simply a matter at the moment of doing that, distributing this, and then we'll smooth it off, hopefully so it's nice and level with the top of the case, which I can imagine it will be because I seem to have loads of this here. Okay, but it's just a matter of going around, pinning that up, and smoothing it off. So there you go. There's a second tray, all nicely filled to the brim, bit left over, not a lot though. And so now they're going to go in the freezer for between 3 to 4 hours, because we want them a lot firmer. You wouldn't eat them from frozen, but we want them firm enough that we can put the topping on, or you know, the swirl. And then what you would normally do is you would sort of either refreeze them, or you would just keep them in the fridge till they've thawed out so you can eat them. So we'll get on with the topping once these are ready. So we're now going to do the final caramel cream swirl topping. So I'm going to put a litre of double cream into there. It's a fraction under, but it's not worth opening another one just to get that odd little bit, but that won't matter. Then I've got 2 tablespoons of icing sugar, and an optional ingredient, you don't have to put this in at all, but I've got 4 tablespoons of milk powder. And then all I'm going to do, and before I forget, because we're doing a caramel topping, now you could do a chocolate one if you want to use chocolate sauce instead, but I've got this caramel sauce and I thought let's do it different. We're going to have a caramel one, and so I want to put in there about 1 to 2 tablespoons of that. 1, 2. And we're going to want that for our final decoration. So now what I'm going to do is just completely whisk all this together until it's nice and thick and ready for piping. I've got a piping bag with a 1M nozzle. So I'm just going to get this whipped up. So this is one of the batches out of the freezer. And now I'm going to be transporting some of these, so I'm actually going to leave some of them in the cupcake cases, but ideally what we want to do is remove the cupcake case, and there we go, there's our basic cheesecake. And then these ones I'm going to do as I should do. Okay, so I'm just going to go through and just going to unwrap some of them, and then we'll get putting the topping on. So, like I said, using a 1M nozzle, it's going to pipe a swirl of the buttercream on top of each one. And then also I'll do the ones that I've left in the cases. Like I say, ideally you want them out of the case, because obviously you can then see the cheesecake as it should be seen. But you're going to want to keep these cold, preferably frozen. But that might be a little bit difficult if you've got plenty of room in your freezer. And then, like I said, take them out when you want to eat them, leave them in the fridge for a few hours until they thaw out enough that you can eat them, because that cheese mixture, remember, is quite soft, and that's going to get softer as it warms up, so they won't be the easiest things to transport. So there's that bit on there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my sauce. Now, like I say, I'm using caramel. If you wanted to use chocolate, you can do. And all I'm going to do is just put a few little drizzles over the top, and then to finish it off, because it is our Kit Kat, I've got some pieces of Kit Kat cut in half, and I'm just going to decorate them like that. Just do the last bits while we're here, and there you go. There are our Kit Kat mini cheesecakes with a caramel cream swirl topping. Now I obviously need these to warm up a little bit before we can try one, because they're a bit solid at the minute. So we will be doing a little tasting shortly. Well, I'll say shortly, in a bit. So there we go. Let's have a go. Okay, the base is quite hard. Trying to get a bit of everything there. So I've got the filling, base, and a bit of the topping. Definitely got a cheesecakey taste. Very creamy though. These definitely need to be kept chilled until you're ready to eat them, because otherwise they're just going to go squidgy. So ideally, keep them frozen, whack them in the fridge for a few hours to defrost. You could put them out on the side to defrost if you want. Don't think these are going to stay frozen very long. Yeah. Your Kit Kat mini cheesecake with a caramel cream swirl. Tons of fat.